Okay, so our statistical question is, how long did it take us to get ready? All right, so we're going to do like 10 answers.
30 minutes.
30 minutes, okay?
15.
45. 15, all right. In the back, yeah. 45. Okay. How long? 20, okay.
Okay, it took me 42 minutes.
42, that's pretty exact, okay. 45, all right, hang on. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do 2 more. 35. And 40. Okay, wow, you guys spent some time getting ready. Okay.
How long am I supposed to?
I don't know. All right, here we go. So what's my first step when I'm doing anything with data? What am I going to do first?
Put them from least to greatest.
Least to greatest. Fantastic. Our smallest amount here is 15. And again, I cross them off as I go. So 15 and 15. And then we've got 20, 30, 35. Then we have 40, very specifically 42. And then 2 45s. Okay, should give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 3 45s. 10, that's our 10th number. Okay, so they're in order least to greatest. Again, to create our box and whisker plot, the 3 values I'm most concerned with are our median, upper quartile, and lower quartile. So those are the first 3 values that I want to find. So what would my median of this set of numbers be?
37.5.
Okay, because it falls between 35 and 40, so excellent. You said 37.5?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so our median is 37.5. What about my upper quartile? It's the middle of my upper half.
45.
45, okay.
20.
And my lower quartile?
20.
20, very good. It's the middle of my lower half. And for those of you that were out last week, what I just did was I found my median, and then I found the median of the upper half, and the median of the lower half. That's my upper quartile and lower quartile. Okay, because now it's divided my data into 1, 2, 3, 4 sections, which are quartiles. Okay, think of quarter. All right, so now that I have these 3 values, I'm going to show this on a number line or like a graph. Okay, so what's my lowest number? 15, and my highest is 45. So I think I'm going to count by 5s. I'm going to start 1 below, so I'm going to go from 10, 15, 20. That's what I typically do is I start 1 below my lowest value, and I'll go 1 above. So I've got 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and finally 50. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yes? Just hang on. All we've done right now is found these 3 values and drawn our number line. Bless you. All right. Once you have your number line, you're going to go and mark. What do you mean? There doesn't have to be 10 numbers on here. No, this is just my number line. And I'm going 1 number below my lowest value and 1 number above my highest value. Okay, so once I have this number line, I'm going to go through and I'm going to mark my median. I'm going to do it above my number line. So in between 35 and 40. What was my upper quartile? 45. And my lower was 20. Okay, so I've marked those 3 values above my number line. Okay? Now, we said, what's the difference between my upper and lower quartile? What do we call that?
Interquartile range.
Interquartile range. And that represents the majority of my data. So I'm going to box that in. This is the difference between my upper and lower quartile. I mark my median. That is the majority of my data. So we box in that portion that represents the majority. But remember we said the upper and lower quartile, the inner quartile range, that range represents the majority of your data. So we've boxed that in. This is the majority of my data. Okay? So what is my highest number? Oh, look what happened. What was my highest number? 45. What's my upper quartile?
45.
I'll show you in a second. We don't draw anything out here. I'm supposed to be able to draw a whisker, but since I have my upper quartile and my highest value are the same, I don't have a whisker. So what's my lowest value? 15. Okay? So my lowest value is 15. I come and I draw a dot and draw a whisker. Typically, I would have a dot out here and would draw a whisker to it. But since my upper quartile is the same as my highest value, I don't have a whisker. The whiskers go to your highest and lowest values. And that's where it would clearly show if you had an outlier. On this set of data, do we have an outlier? No. We sure don't. It does show, if you look at our box, see how this half is more widely spread than this half? Why is this half not widely spread? Exactly, because there's 3 numbers that are repeating itself. So again, this is just a visual representation of the data you've just found. We're going to do another because I want to make sure we get one that has 2 whiskers so you can see. Okay? So let's slide down. I'm going to just give you a set of numbers. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to do that. I'm going to give you a set of numbers, and we'll go ahead and list them in order so that I know we're going to get a good whisker. Okay? Here we go. And like I said, I'll list them in order for you. So here's our second example. So we're going to have 10, 15, 15, 20, 30, 30, 41, 45, 60, and 80. Okay? So, this time we're going to write us a couple of steps. Now that I've walked you through the whole process, step 1, I want to find my median, upper quartile, and lower quartile. So that's the first thing. I want to find those 3 values. All right, what is my median? 30. I have 10 numbers, so let's make sure we get the right one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to fall between 30 and 30, and luckily we know the average of 30 and 30 is 30. So my median is 30. What about my upper quartile?
45.
45. Very good. Do y'all see how that is the middle? We have 2 on each side. Okay. What about my lower quartile?
15.
Excellent. Okay. So what would my inner quartile range be? 30. Very good. To find the inner quartile range, remember we just subtract upper quartile minus lower quartile. So now that we have those 3 numbers, we'll slide up just a little bit. Step 2 is we are going to make our number line. I'm going from 10 to 80. I've got some 5s in there. I'm going to count by 5s, I think. So I'm going to start with 5, 10, and again, guys, I'm not looking for perfection on a number line. 35. I'm running out of room here. 60, 65, 70, 75. Oops, sorry, we're going to squeeze it in there. 80. Sorry. It's kind of crammed. Okay, so now under step 2, we're going to mark median, upper quartile, and lower quartile. And I'm just going to do that with a dot. So my median was what? 30. Upper quartile? 45. Lower quartile? 15. Okay? Once I mark those, I'm going to box them in. Okay? So once I mark those, I box them in. Step 3 is going to be our whiskers. And your whiskers are your highest, I'm going to abbreviate this, and lowest values. I'm going to move that up so you can see. Sorry, guys. So step 3, our last step, is going to be our highest and lowest values. What was my highest value in that set of data? 80. So I'm going to come all the way out here, put a dot, and draw a whisker. What was my lowest value? 10. So I'm going to draw a dot, draw a whisker. Now, looking at this, what is something you can immediately assume? Look at that whisker. It's really kind of far away from our data, isn't it? Say it again.
It's the outlier.
It is the outlier. Remember I told you this would be a more visual way to tell if there's an outlier? This is it, okay? So when you have that long whisker, that is definitely an outlier. It's not fitting with the rest of our data. The rest of our data is pretty compact. It ranges from 10 to about 45. And then we jump all the way to 80. So that long whisker, first thing you should say when you see that is, I've got an outlier there. And earlier where we didn't have the whisker, that is possible. That will happen when your upper quartile and your highest number are the same. And that's typically when you do have a number repeating itself. Okay? So what's my first step? We're going to find median. Yes, you're going to find those 3 values. Then we're going to mark those 3 values on our number line, box them in, and then your last step is to mark your whiskers on your highest and lowest values. Good. All right, I'm going to stop.